Hi, everybody. I know you guys were kind of worried. You've been asking, and since this is a Q&A, I thought I'd answer your questions. She's fine. She's purring right now. She might be a little upset about the new dog, but she's doing her best to get over it and be big girl, huh? Yeah. She's my sweet girl. Do you want down? That's fine. So Freckles is doing great with the new puppy. She is a little nervous still when he's in his crate. She's a lot happier because he can't chase her, but he's a baby, so he doesn't quite understand boundaries yet, but they're working on it. And we're working on making sure that she has safe places where she can be away from him. In fact, she spends more time in those safe places than she does anywhere near him. So Q&A time. You guys asked some great questions over on my community tab. I'm going to answer them for you. We'll see what kind of information we get from this. So firstly, let's start with somebody asked, is my real name Cozy? And no, no, it's not. My real name is actually a really common woman's first name, but I have preferred to keep it kind of to myself. My privacy is really important to me. My kids' privacy is really important to me. And so I kind of keep that kind of information just for me. But hey, I was born at the tail end of the 80s, and it's a really common women's first name, so I'm sure you guys can at least take some stabs in the dark. It wouldn't be the first time if y'all tried guessing my name that somebody got my name wrong. My mother calls me everything from my multitudinous siblings to the dog that died 10 years ago. So, yeah, I've been called, I'll give you the dog's name, Chloe, more times than I can count. That's not even close. Not even close. Um, so there have been some really great questions specifically about sister wives too. So we're going to start with answering a few, and some of them are very similar. So if I don't specifically say yours, it's probably because it's super similar and the answer is the same to another one. But somebody asked when I started watching Sister Wives, and that was at the beginning in 2010. I started watching from when it premiered. Back in the day and still now, I am really interested in anything that has a lot of secrets that people aren't necessarily in the know about. So secret societies, cults, um, uh, just like strange goings on, those kinds of things. So I was always fascinated by the idea that Mormonism itself had a lot of secrets to it, similar to the way I'm fascinated by the secrets of Scientology and other closed groups. In fact, so much so that I've been watching on YouTube, Aaron Smith-Levin talk about his time in Scientology. Not as much lately, but I was watching it for a while there. But yeah, I've been watching the show since 2010. In fact, when I started watching it, I didn't realize that there was another group other than the FLDS that considered themselves fundamentalist Mormons. So it was really kind of a shock to me to find out about the LeBaron group, the AUB back in the day. So yeah, I've been kind of following a little bit of that since then. Have I watched the whole series was part of the question? Yep. I took a break during seasons 13 and 14. I think it was 13 and 14. I saw McKelty's Wedding. I didn't see Aspen's when it originally aired. So maybe it was 14 and 15. I can't remember. But I took a short break just due to life circumstances, work, all sorts of things. I didn't have time to watch it the way that I had been. And so I kind of took a step back. But I have seen all of it on streaming services. I've seen the entire series multiple times. I have not missed any of it. I've seen it all. So sometimes I get comments like, have you even watched the show? Yes, I have. I've watched it. I've watched it a lot. I pick up on a lot of strange things, and I have a lot of opinions that other people may not share, which is cool because I like hearing you guys' opinions, even if I don't share them. And what are my predictions for the future of the show? Well, I think that we'll get up to season 20. I don't think we're going to get past season 20, if I'm being honest. At least not in the way that it is now. I think, frankly, now that Christine and David are married, she probably is going to sort of drop off and just live her life. Mary might stick around, might not. I think eventually Janelle is probably going to move to either North Carolina to be with Maddie and Caleb or back to Vegas because that's where Hunter and Logan had ended up. I also could very easily see Garrison and Gabe moving back to Vegas if Mom went that direction, and I think Savannah will go wherever her mother goes, personally. I don't actually see any of the Brown children, except for maybe Robbins, sticking around in Flagstaff long term. And even then, I could definitely see some of Robin's kids having an interest in moving back to Utah or Montana. You know, eventually they're going to also want to go out on their own, but I don't think we're going to get too much of that, or really by the time any of that happens, is anybody going to actually care? Possibly. So, so sticking with questions about the show specifically, I was asked about minor children on reality television shows, like what kind of safeguards or conditions do I think should be in place for them, or should they not be on there at all? And I honestly am not a fan necessarily of children on reality shows. I think the kids that I have watched on Sister Wives, those kids, I still am interested in their lives. Like, I sort of feel almost like we've watched them for so long, there's kind of a responsibility to make sure that nothing happens to them in a way. It's a strange feeling. Like, I feel very protective over making sure that these kids are safe. And so as far as safeguards and conditions, if children are going to be on reality television shows, which I don't necessarily think that they should be, the safeguards and conditions should definitely be very important. So things like you get one take to catch a reaction. You don't get multiple takes. You cannot make a child do the same thing over and over again. One of the most egregious examples that I can think of would be like birthday or Christmas, continually rewrapping their presents to get just the perfect reaction to whatever your storyline is. I'm sorry, we're not doing that. You catch it and you move on. That would be one of them. A second one would be no late filming. Children need to be able to go to school, to have their meals, to have their quiet time, to be able to go to bed at an appropriate hour. If you're going to be filming late, you're not going to be filming children, you're going to be filming adults. That would be another big rule. And of course, the last one being, I think that every state, because YouTube and the internet have become so prevalent with family channels, I think every state needs to adopt similar things to Coogan's Law and ensure that every child is financially protected for the work that they've done on whether it's reality television, YouTube, Twitch, whatever it might be. Those children need to be financially protected under every state. States that don't have laws that protect children from exploitation by their parents actually make me very upset. Honestly, I'm not a fan. I am not a fan. And that's one of those things that, frankly, I keep my children off of here because I don't feel like it's appropriate for them to be out in the world for the whole world to see. But I have committed, and so has my husband, that the money that comes from this YouTube channel definitely goes into making sure that their lives are as wonderful as they could possibly be. So, yeah, I'm really excited to start. Now that we're at the beginning of the year, we can start thinking about birthday parties and fun things that we're going to do with the kids for this year, because I really do enjoy making sure that everybody's year is just going to be like super perfect. So then I think this is the last question specifically about Sister Wives, but what made me start this channel and why Sister Wives? Well, Sister Wives because I've been watching it for so long. But what made me start the channel? Well, okay, so season 16, yes, we're watching the episode where Mary tells Christine to look at the mountains, right? And husband's like, what in the hell is going on? I don't understand what's happening. And so I'm trying to explain it to him. And of course, as you're explaining things, you have to keep going back. Like, okay, so this happened, but what you really need to know that this happened. And then, okay, so going back to the beginning, there was a whole thing, and then the wedding dress, and then the cake tasting, and then, so they had to leave Utah, but they didn't really have to leave Utah. Like, that kind of seems like it was kind of a thing that they just sort of threw together for the show, but they're still holding up. And he's like, please stop talking. Can you please find someone else to talk to about this? This is too much information all at one time. Which is fair, because I probably talked for like 25 minutes trying to explain to him the entire lore of the show. So I said, you know what? Fine. I'll admit it. I have too much anxiety for TikTok. TikTok gives me extreme anxiety. And so I said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to make some YouTube shorts, because I feel like my algorithm on YouTube is a little bit more curated. I don't find that I get shown a lot of things that make me feel anxious. And so I said I'm going to make YouTube shorts. And so I started making some YouTube shorts. And then I was like, you know what? I have things to say that don't fit into 15 seconds or 60 seconds. So I'm going to make some longer videos. And I just started making them. And at first, nobody was seeing them. And I was fine with that. And then all of a sudden, one video just sort of blew up out of nowhere. It's an older video. It's about 3 minutes long, about Robin's ex-friend Kendra. And out of nowhere, I opened up the YouTube Studio app one day, and it had gotten 22,000 views overnight. And I was like, what just happened? And that's when things started to take off. And I was like, oh, okay. and it just sort of became fun because people would say things, and most everyone that is on here is so kind and so polite, and I really appreciate that. So that's kind of why that all blew up. But yeah, Sister Wives is just because I wanted somebody to talk to about it. So moving out of that, so someone asked, outside of Sister Wives, what am I into? So, as the name of the channel would imply, I'm the Cozy Gaming Mom over on Twitch, also, just Cozy Gaming Mom. And I started my Twitch channel just to be able to play some games and have some fun. I started off playing Stardew Valley, which is one of my favorite games. Not in my, it's in my top 3. It is not in the top 2, which are kind of tied with each other. And I was creating different challenges to play in Stardew Valley. For those of you who haven't played, Stardew Valley is, of course, a farming simulator, similar in vein to the older style Harvest Moon games or the Story of Seasons games, and kind of has a little bit of, not really, but a touch of a crossover with maybe The Sims a little bit because it is a life simulator. 2 different routes you can go, fixing the community center or the more capitalistic Joja route. I've actually never completed the Joja route, not once. Every time I try to, I feel bad about it. And I just don't. And I think that's because I don't like Morris. Anyway, so started playing that and developing my own challenges. Like I have one that I wrote for myself. I wrote the rules. I'd never seen anybody else do it, where you were not allowed to buy seeds. You can only farm with what you find. So I did that, and then that challenge sort of evolved and turned into trying to grow 1 billion coffee beans. And I'm still in the middle of that playthrough because it's during the middle of that playthrough that I found out, or that I started experiencing severe symptoms of the pseudotumor that I have. And so it was kind of a wild ride. It's kind of a wild ride. So I'm trying to think. What was I saying? Oh, so of course that's a big thing. As far as my other hobbies, it would be like Harvest Moon and Final Fantasy IX are like my 2 top favorite video games. I like to play those when I have the opportunity. Final Fantasy IX actually plays a huge role in my life, like a massive role in my life. I always said if I got a tattoo, the one character I'd want it to be of is a Moogle from Final Fantasy IX with the save game book, holding it with like save game yes or no. And part of that is because as a teenager into early adulthood, I really struggled with negative thoughts. And so one day I was sitting down and I was just really struggling, and I saw a picture of a Moogle, and I am not joking. I've told you guys before, I'm a believer. I'm not going to get preachy here, but I am not joking when I say I feel like the voice of God spoke to me while I was looking at that and said, listen, just like when you're playing these video games, no matter what happens in your life, you can always start back over. There is always a restart point. You don't have to worry about never being able to come back from something. Freckles, that's indecent. And so it really meant a lot to me. I never did follow through with the tattoo because I'm paralyzingly afraid of needles. But I think that it wasn't so much about getting the tattoo. It was more about hearing and understanding that no matter what, my life isn't over, which has been exciting. So along the same, in the same question, the question was asked, where am I from? Well, you guys know, obviously, I've kept no secret that I was born and raised in the state of Ohio. I wear shirts with Ohio on it. I have, you know, football teams from Ohio that are on my shirts. That's where I was born and raised. I did live in Florida for a little while, and then when I moved back from Florida, I moved back to the Midwest. I'm not going to say what state, but back to the Midwest. So still a Midwesterner at heart, which goes along with another question that asked about being a 4 seasons kind of person. Yes, I would much rather have 4 seasons than just 1, and frankly, I'd actually rather have 3 than 4. I would subtract summer if I could. I hate everything about the summer. I hate the heat. I hate the freckles. Don't eat that. I hate the heat. I hate the just like gross feeling. I'm not a fan of like going to the beach. I don't like sand. I don't like any of that. I love spring. If I could have those like spring temperatures in Ohio, the ones that you get that are just gorgeous, those like upper 50s into the 60s, maybe low 70s, I would be thrilled all of the time. Fall is my absolute favorite, and then winter, I love snow. So if I could keep those seasons, I would be absolutely thrilled. But yeah, and someone said if I could live anywhere, where would I live? I would stay in the Midwest, but I'd probably go to the Dakotas, maybe Montana, possibly even northern Utah, somewhere that gets plenty of snow and has a really great temperature range. I would love to do that. And so that's why I see someone asked if I wanted information about moving to the Badlands. Yes, I would love that. I would be so excited. We actually got snow last night and we got probably a good, I don't know, 3 to 5 inches, and I am thrilled. Thrilled. So yeah, that's kind of the answers to those. I can hear my kids starting to act up. So I hope that answered you guys' questions. If you have more questions, leave them down in the comments below. I'll be more than happy to jump in and try to answer whatever you'd like. But until the next time, guys, we'll see Christine's wedding tonight, and I'll see you soon. Bye.